My guest tonight is Shepard Fairey. Perhaps one of the most important figures in contemporary art, Shepard's Obey Giant campaign transcended traditional media and became what he rightly calls a study in phenomenology. I don't doubt that Shepard is responsible for one of your favorite album covers, movie posters, or pieces of fine art. But it's the phrase, Andre the Giant has a posse, that will always remind us of the movement he pioneered. Shepard, it's great to finally have you on the show.
Thanks a lot.
You who have done set design on this show. Everyone's seen Obey Giant, but they probably don't know the backstory. So how did it come about, and why do you think it became such a phenomenon?
Well, I grew up in South Carolina, a very conservative upbringing. My mom was head cheerleader, and my dad was captain of the football team. And went to private school, but when I was 14 in 1984, I started skateboarding and listening to punk rock. And I had always drawn, but this was the first time I'd ever found an outlet culturally for my art that really resonated as something that you could do that didn't involve, you know, being the most popular kid or the mainstream. And eventually, after accepting that I wouldn't be a pro skateboarder for a living, I went to art school at the Rhode Island School of Design. And while I was living in Providence, I saw a lot of band stickers and just a great creative scene there. And I decided to make a sticker for some friends of mine that I worked at a skate shop with, of Andre the Giant, the wrestler. I was making a lot of my own T-shirts and looked for a picture to teach a friend how to make a stencil in the newspaper, and there was this picture of Andre the Giant, and I said, hey, why don't you cut a stencil of this? It was really just going to be an inside joke. Well, he got frustrated, and I, for some reason, had decided it would be funny to make this thing, and made some stickers and some stencils and put them around town, and next thing you know, the newspaper was running an article, hey, what's this Andre the Giant sticker campaign about? And it opened my eyes to the a power that an image placed in public has, and that usually you only see advertising or store signage, something that's got some sort of commercial motivation, and seeing something that couldn't be interpreted quickly actually was really powerful because people wanted to get to the bottom of it. And so all of the power of an image in public began to fascinate me, and I wanted to take it as far as I could, and I started to read up about things like Heidegger's theory on phenomenology, and the situationists, this idea that people become lazy and sort of begin to just follow the path of least resistance and sleepwalk through life, and that they need things that give them renewed perspective. And something as silly as this Andre the Giant has a posse sticker seemed to achieve that by the feedback I was getting. So just decided to take it as far as I could take it, and that was 18 years ago, 1989.
Do you think there are broader lessons that can be learned from the popularity and the ubiquity of Obey Giant?
Well, I think there's several lessons. Initially, I was definitely trying to call into question all of the imagery that people are assaulted with, you know, advertising, and not to be susceptible to the manipulation by putting something next to it that was more obviously having an agenda. When I created the Obey to go underneath the stylized Big Brother is watching you version, it was this cautionary, hey, what am I supposed to obey? What else is telling me to obey? So this idea that it would be the first domino to fall in getting people to actually question everything. Right. And then also the messages, that a lot of people feel powerless to communicate their ideas. They think that, okay, you know, I'm not a corporation, I don't have, you know, I don't own my own magazine or news station, I just don't have any say. And they maybe don't even vote because they feel so powerless. But seeing what I've done, whether it's starting a clothing line or a blog, you know, starting to blog about things they care about, or doing something, I think it's empowered a lot of people to realize that one individual or a collective of a small group of individuals can make an impact. So that's, you know, that's exciting for me. A lot of artists want to, you know, be the mysterious, you know, person behind the curtain. I actually want to demystify and say, here are these really simple tools. Go out and rock it. And that comes from, you know, the DIY cultures of punk rock and skateboarding that influenced me so much.
it's fascinating, this position that you're in now. I forget where I was, Wilshire and something, and I saw an Andre sticker, bespattered with LA grime, next to maybe an ad for Walk the Line, massive, on a bus stop kiosk. Right. So I'm seeing two versions of this guy, the sticker kid who, gorilla stamped it on his way down the street on his skateboard, next to this very corporate, very nice thing that's lit at night and everything. Right. So this is these two worlds that you now reside in. How do you deal with being afoot very solidly in both worlds? Well,
my goal was always to do as much as I could on my own terms in just creating my own utopia that I can live as a creative. But the reality is most people who are creative will have to deal with the system at some point. So I decided early on that if those opportunities arose, that I could do commercial work as long as it was something I didn't have an ethical conflict with. I would do it, and I would, like Robin Hood, take that money and fund my own projects that really I felt would influence people to question the commercial side of things. But a project like Walk the Line, for example, is something that I would never apologize for because it's such a beautiful marriage of art and commerce. It's a good movie. It's a poster that I'm incredibly proud of. I'm promoting someone that that I think is a great artist, and I think that a lot of artists have this fear that if they do commercial work, their holier than thou peers will look down on them, call them a sellout, and so they don't do it. But then they're struggling and they're taking jobs as waiters or whatever, and it's. I think it's something that no other industry really has quite as high, a standard for people's integrity as well, art and to some degree music. And I've heard you talk about songs being licensed, et cetera, and some of the things that you're talking about, where people say, "Oh, the Clash are sellouts because they were in a Jaguar commercial." And I think that creative people have to do what they have to do to survive, and I would never look down on someone for doing a commercial job. I've turned down jobs from Hummer, from Camel cigarettes. They're not sponsors of the show, right? Because I didn't believe in those products, and I actually felt like it would be compromising